Kenshin, that spring of 1561, I began my invasion of northern Shinano. You understand that Shinano is a strategically important region for our Takeda family. Shingen, I understood that move. But why did he go to such lengths to obtain Shinano, and what was his true intention? Shinano is located on the border with Kai province and is a strategic point for expanding our territory. When the Murakami clan turned to you, their movement posed a great threat to my family. It is true that Yoshikyo Murakami asked for my help. When they were banished from Shinano, there was no way I could overlook it. Yes, for that reason we clashed many times, and in the summer of 1561, our Takeda forces were deployed at Kawanakajima and fought with all their might. That formation, I had been informed in detail. But how they closed in on your main camp must have surprised you with the ingenuity of their planning. Indeed, I was surprised to see how quietly and rapidly you closed in on our main camp in the early morning of September 10th. You easily slipped through my lines of defense and at one point stormed our main camp. That night, our army moved at what could be called God speed. But tell us how you felt the attack affected you. To be honest, the surprise attack caused a great deal of confusion in our army. However, it also boosted the morale of our army. Kenshin, I really admire your bravery and trickery. I appreciate it, but we both took a lot of damage in that battle. How was yours in particular? Certainly, many sacrifices were made. But the lessons learned in the battle were immeasurable. In particular, we keenly realized the importance of discerning the enemy's intentions and responding quickly. The battle was ultimately inconclusive, but what do you think about how this battle affected the situation between us? The battle deepened our mutual respect and vigilance, and demanded further strategic thinking. Kenshin, fighting with you always makes me grow. It's the same for me. My battles with you are always a test of my own limits. Shingen, our battle will continue, but each time we will seek a deeper understanding. Agreed. We need to develop a stronger strategy through this battle. But, Kenshin, the battle with you is not just a battle. It is also a place to learn the way of a true samurai. I take those words very seriously. However, we will continue to exert our efforts over the domination of this land. It is also our destiny as military commanders. Both fight for a cause that is non-negotiable. But we must always remember to challenge them with strategy and respect. Let us hold on to that spirit, together. Shingen, today's dialogue has given me a renewed understanding. I hope we can have such an exchange of views again. Kenshin, I promise you that. I want to cherish not only our encounters on the battlefield, but also our words exchanged in this way. Takeda and Uesugi, let's work hard together. Shingen, in the spring of 1561, the Battle of Kawanakajima once again sparked between us. Behind it was more than just a territorial dispute. It is clear that the land of Shinano was important to both sides, but more than that, I had a duty to protect the people of Shinano. What do you mean by duty to protect? I, too, was acting to protect Shinano and, moreover, to ensure the safety of our Kai province. Shingen, what you call protection is nothing more than extending your rule. The protection I speak of is to ensure that the people of Shinano, including the Murakami, can live in peace on their own land. But Kenshin, the Murakami clan asked for your help. Is that not a sign that they have given up on resistance by themselves? It was intimidation by force that made them do so. My intervention was to restore to them their right to self-determination. Restore the right to self-determination? That will only cause you an even bigger battle, and many of your people will suffer as a result. Shingen, warfare always involves sacrifice. But it is worth it if there is much to be gained from the battle. The people of Shinano are rooted in their land and love it. That they live independently in their own land is the reason I fight. Kenshin, you led many warriors and people into battle with it. As a result, many lives were lost. Still, can you say that you are right? Shingen, justice is sometimes a tough choice. I did not avoid it, I faced it. I doubt that the justice you speak of was really the best for the people of Shinano. You are free to question, but I was with the people of Shinano. I heard their voices and fought to shape their wishes. But it is also true that the battle resulted in making Shinano even more of a battleground. Shouldn't we have listened to the voices that wanted peace? Of course, we have listened to those who want peace. But true peace is not a false peace in a state of oppression. Peace in freedom and dignity is what I strive for. Freedom and dignity. But are you also aware that much blood will be spilled under those ideals? I am aware of that. Shingen, you too must have sacrificed much for your ideals. In that respect, are we not the same? They may be the same. But the methods are different. I value stability and order and believe that governance is necessary for that. In the name of governance, you are trying to grab a lot of land. Is it truly for the good of the people? It is for the people. Only when there is order can development take place and people can live in peace. But doesn't that order justify domination by some? Domination is a harsh word, but leadership is necessary in all societies. Leadership is necessary, but if it leads to oppression, then that leadership should be questioned. It is important to ask the question again. But sometimes a strong hand is needed. That is to prevent confusion and avoid greater tragedy. There will be times when a strong hand is needed. But that hand should not disparage the voice of the people. The voice of the people is what should guide the actions of our generals. It is important to listen to the people. I agree with that. But sometimes that voice can be divided into many opinions and contradictory. What should leaders do then? Kenshin, time has passed since the Battle of Kawanakajima, and looking back on that battle again now, what new discoveries can be made? Shingen, that battle taught many lessons among us. In particular, it was a test of your tactical evolution and your commanding acumen. Indeed, our battle demanded much in the way of technique. Kenshin's surprise attack against my Kisagawa formation was brilliant. To break that formation, I spent many nights without sleep. But what I gained from it was not just a tactical victory, but a profound insight into the nature of the battle. The nature of the battle, what do you think it is now? It is not just about defeating the enemy, but about how to achieve maximum effect with minimum sacrifice. In this regard, I have many reflections. Many soldiers fell on the battlefield. I should have treated their lives with more respect. Shingen, that self-reflection is important. But it is also the growth required of us military commanders. Speaking of growth, the impact of this battle on our territory was significant. How do you see the impact on the people of Shinano? The people of Shinano suffered greatly from the battle. Seeing this, I keenly feel my responsibility as a military commander. Although we have put a lot of effort into post-war reconstruction, the wounds they have suffered are still deep. Future government must better reflect the voice of the people. I take your words very seriously. The war is over, now it is time to make peace. We need stability in each other's territories in order to build peace. Do you have any ideas on how to maintain stability in each other's territories? For one thing, we want to stimulate trade. By promoting trade among our territories, including Shinano, we can solidify our economic base. If the economic base is stabilized, the people can live in peace. I agree with that proposal. Cultural exchange would also be important. Through the tea ceremony and calligraphy, civilians should also deepen exchanges and promote understanding. Cultural exchange certainly enriches the hearts of the people. We at Kai would like to provide peace of mind through the tea ceremony. Peace of mind heals the wounds of war. Our role is not only to fight, but also to heal. That's right. The battle is over and now is the time to rule. Let us work together to build a better reign. Cooperate, indeed. Shingen, we have learned a lot from this discussion today. Let us have another opportunity to discuss like this and improve each other. Kenshin, our clash at the Battle of Kawanakajima, I think about it a lot now. I often ponder whether it was the best course of action, especially in the progress of our forces. Shingen, your strategy was indeed precise, but warfare is always changing. How did you feel when my army's surprise attack succeeded? When we were ambushed, I had a momentary fear that everything would fall apart. But it was also an opportunity to test the true value of our army. Indeed, your quick response was brilliant at the time. But it cost many lives. What do you think about that fact? In this regard, I always have a heavy heart. War is a place where lives are at stake, and while I understand this, I often ask myself if there was another way. It is our duty as commanders to choose the most merciful way out of a situation in which war is inevitable. I am also heartbroken that we have sent so many young men and women into battle. Kenshin, the battle with you was more than just a territorial dispute. I feel now that our ideal forms of governing the country clashed with each other. You are right, Shingen. We were not just enemies, but a dialogue between people with different ideals. But why is it that when those ideals clash, the battle is so fierce, and how should we face it? The higher the ideal, the more difficult the road to its achievement. However, there is also much to be gained in the process. However, we always feel responsible for those who sacrifice for it. Shingen, your sense of responsibility is proof that you are a true commander. But it is your vision of how to build the post-war world that will determine our future actions. A vision of the post-war world, that is indeed important. The reason we continue to fight is not just to win, but to build a better future. In order to build that future, it is important to learn and pass on what we learn in battle. Shingen, there are numerous things I have learned from my battles with you. In particular, it made me think deeply about how to have respect for my enemies. Respect for each other, even as enemies, and that is the way of a true warrior. Kenshin, your battle with me has taught me many lessons. Kenshin, have you ever thought about the impact of the Battle of Kawanakajima on the social structure of the Shinano region? Shingen, it is clear that the wars had an impact on the economy and culture of the region. In particular, frequent wars undermined the stability of the region, and agricultural production was greatly affected. That's right. Farmland was devastated and many farmers were sent into battle. But on the other hand, our battles also increased the supply and demand for weapons and harnesses, creating new demand for local craftsmen. While that is true, we should weigh the short-term economic effects of war against the long-term social losses. Once the war is over, the economy that depends on it will collapse. Certainly there is a risk of this. However, in many cases, technological innovations made during wartime have been applied to peacetime industries. For example, improvements in metalworking technology contributed to the quality of agricultural tools. That's a reasonable point. History has proven that war is a factor in technological innovation. But what about the cultural impact of war? War certainly brings a lot of destruction, but it can also increase interest in the ways of the samurai and their culture. In my territory, the tea ceremony became even more widespread. The tea ceremony certainly enhances spirituality and can be a place of spiritual unification for warriors. However, cultural activities are often interrupted by warfare. That is undeniable. The interruption of cultural activities affects the morale of society as a whole. But the revival of culture after a war is over is often more prosperous than before. Cultural revival gives people hope. It is an important factor in stabilizing post-war society. However, the cost is too great considering the suffering of the people caused by the war. In order to minimize this suffering, we warriors must be strategic. We need to avoid pointless bloodshed and act more strategically. What exactly do you consider to be strategic actions? For example, methods that bring the enemy to its knees through siege or negotiation rather than combat. This reduces unnecessary casualties and more quickly stabilizes the region. That is certainly one way. But it is not always easy for the enemy to give in. In that case, how should we deal with them? One way to do this is to not push the enemy as far as possible and propose a temporary truce. This will allow both sides time to rethink their strategies again. The option of a truce can certainly be beneficial to both armies. But how do we guarantee that the armistice will not simply postpone the fighting? To this end, specific conditions need to be established in the armistice agreement. For example, Measures should be taken to build mutual trust, such as the exchange of hostages and the temporary sharing of territory. Steps to build trust, which is strategically important, but it will require deep understanding and cooperation between the two armies. In the process, how do we enhance trust between the two militaries? Kenshin, for a long time we fought at Kawanakajima. It is only now that I would like to hear your honest thoughts about that battle. Shingen, that was the hot battle of our youth. Looking back, how passionate, yet how reckless. It may have been reckless. However, I would like to explore the truth of what the battle meant to both sides. For me, that battle was not just a territorial dispute. It was a battle to pursue an ideal and protect the people of Shinano. I also saw it as a necessary battle for the safety and expansion of Kai. But now I wonder if it was right to shed so much blood. Warfare always involves sacrifice. Whatever we were trying to protect and whatever we were trying to gain, the sacrifice was too great. Kenshin, you are right. Many lives were lost and many families were left in sorrow. We must continue to bear it. But Shingen, without that battle, we might not be having this honest conversation today. That would also be true. Through fighting, we have come to recognize and respect each other's strengths. That is the only light in this long conflict. Shingen, your tactics, especially the battle at Kisagawa, have taught me many things. It is not only about tactics, but also about the mindset of a fighter. Kenshin's surprise attack was another great lesson for me. Your daring action brought a new perspective to my tactics. We learned from each other, we improved each other. We were able to fight such a great enemy, and I am proud of that now. I feel the same way. Kenshin, in this long battle, we have lost much, but gained much. All of this has shaped who we are today. Shingen, now is the time to tell each other all the truth that is in our hearts. War may continue, but through this dialogue, we hope to build a new understanding. I agree with those words wholeheartedly. Kenshin, let us continue to respect each other and build an era together. Let's do that, Shingen. And now I want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has listened to us. Thank you all for your interest and understanding. I hope our history will continue to be told by many others. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. What did you think? This video was automatically generated by AI.
We still have many areas to improve, but if you don't mind, we would be grateful if you could subscribe to our channel.